'Tis so sweet to trust in Jesus, just to take him at his word, just to rest upon his promise, just to know thus saith the Lord. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, how I proved him o'er and o'er. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust him more. Oh, how sweet to trust in Jesus, just to trust his cleansing blood, just in simple faith to plunge beneath the healing, cleansing flood. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, how I proved him o'er and o'er. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust him more. Yes, 'tis sweet to trust in Jesus, just from sin and self to cease, just from Jesus simply taking life and rest and joy and peace. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, how I've proved him o'er and o'er. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust him more. I'm so glad I learned to trust thee, precious Jesus, Savior, friend, and I know that thou art with me, wilt be with me to the end. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, how I've proved him o'er and o'er. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust him more.
Number 397. 397. I'm sorry, that's a tune I don't know. Let's do 395 instead. 395.
Have thine own way, Lord, have thine own way. Thou art the potter, I am the clay. Mold me and make me after thy will, while I am waiting. sing Christ only always living in me.
Well, good evening. Welcome. See a few more faces here than were here last night, and we're glad for each one of you that's here. I've enjoyed the theme that Brother Paul Hostedler was bringing for us. Several times last night he asked us, or he challenged us with the question, how are you representing Jesus? Are you representing him well? And I think it's a good question each one of us needs to ask ourselves. I think a lot of times, a lot of the arguments or a lot of the emphasis in the Christian world is, what do I need to do to be saved? And sometimes hidden within that question is, what's the least I have to do to make it to heaven? And that's unfortunate. I'd like to read in Matthew 5 just a few verses, words of Jesus. In my Bible, it calls these the similitudes, because Jesus makes a comparison to salt and light. It says in verse 13, "Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost his savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out, and to be trodden under foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven." Sometimes it catches me by surprise sometimes when I read this, verse 14 especially, where it says, "Ye are the light of the world." A lot of times we think, well, Jesus is the light of the world. But Jesus says, "Ye are the light of the world." He left. And he said, "I'm going to send the Holy Spirit. He's going to dwell in you, and you're going to be light, and you're going to be salt, and you're going to be all these things." And I think sometimes we look at our weakness, we look at our, need, and we just think, I hope Jesus is shining, because I'm just not feeling like shining right now. But let's just reckon with the fact that the Holy Spirit lives in us, and Jesus said, "Follow me." And if he told us to follow him, it must be possible to follow him. And so I'm looking forward to hearing more tonight. I know tonight's going to be a little bit more about Hillcrest, but I don't think the theme gets lost. I think Caden's going to be sharing with us, and I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say. And it's just a blessing. So, are you going to speak first, Paul, or is okay? Well, come on up and let's pray. And Caden, you come on up too, and we'll pray with you too, because you're going to be speaking as well. And so, let's all stand for prayer. Lord, as we're gathered here tonight, we're thankful, we're expectant, we're excited to be together as believers. We're excited to be gathered around the Word of God, and to receive encouragement, to receive just maybe admonishment. And we just pray for Brother Caden as he shares, and Brother Paul also. We just pray, Lord, that you would anoint them and give them words to speak. And Lord, prepare our hearts and open our ears to hear what you have for us. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Lord bless you all.
Good evening. That's getting better. I'm the one with the sore throat, so you guys should really be able to let it roll. Now tonight, yes, I'm just going to speak a little bit. We'll turn the time over to Caden, and then we may have a short message. We'll see. I don't know, Caden, if you're more like your father or more like your mother. So, depending which you represent the best on how much time we'll have. But take all the time that you need, because Hillcrest is part of that work that we've been called to do. And it's an honor to be a part of that work. As I had mentioned last evening, Sarah and I had served there as VS staff in 98, 99, along with Rose, Caden's mother, and been involved a little bit back and forth through that time. And Sarah and I used to joke about, maybe someday after the children are growing up, why we may, it'd be kind of fun to go back there as the old laundry couple. There used to be an old laundry couple there when we served there. And we just never know what our journey's going to look like, do we? And so I don't know that we're old, and we're not the laundry couple. But in January of this year, we received a call from Hillcrest, which led to a series of events that we thought were impossible, certainly miraculous, that led to us, Sarah and I and our 7 children, going to Hillcrest to serve as campus pastors. We got there, like I said last evening, in August. And we have a 3-year minimum term there to serve as campus pastors. And we're excited about the work. The vision, as states up here, is where the warmth of Christ's love is felt and every person matters. That's the vision that we have. And we feel our mission there at Hillcrest. It's been going, as some of you are very familiar with Hillcrest, may have served there or had family members that served there. It has been going for 50 years. Since the 50s, I should say. I believe the late 50s that Hillcrest was started. Some of that may be revealed there, but it has been amazing to see the work at Hillcrest, the mission, serving Christ by serving others, and the blessing it has been, the testimony that has been part of Hillcrest for all these years in local Boone County and Harrison, and just I guess the witness that we can be to the residents, to the residents' families. I believe it was a year or two ago, out in the front yard, they set up a tank, and one of the residents, his desire, he had come to know the Lord while he was a resident at Hillcrest, and his desire was to be baptized. And those things are, we just give God glory for that. Regardless of where he calls us, he's faithful to continue the work that he calls us to. And so my job there is predominantly to be an encouragement, a support. We were called there to serve the VS staff. We also have we actually have more paid local staff than we do VS staff. And you'll see some of the reasons why maybe. So we have a great opportunity, Sarah and I and our family, of not only serving the VS staff that come from all over the United States and Canada and other parts of the country, but to also be an encouragement and a witness to the local paid staff and to the residents and the residents' families. And so I really enjoy the work that we were called there to do. I always say if your life has become boring, if you feel bored in life, it's because you're not involved enough with youth or children, youth and children ministries. And we can do that on a lot of different platforms in a lot of ways. I know we have some school teachers here and just a lot of ways that we can be involved in youth and children. And I know we need a mixture, don't we? I think when we're young, we think all change is good, and we can get older and we think all change is bad. And probably somewhere in the middle is where it needs to be more. And so it's amazing how if we distance ourselves too much from youth, I guess the thing that saddens me is how people talk about youth, and just as though all youth are just, they're just, we don't have much hope. Like the hope of a lot of people for the future isn't very bright. And I am just excited. I'm excited to be a part of the work at Hillcrest and to see the passion, the vision that the youth have, and to be able to be a part of that just excites me, because the youth are not only the church of tomorrow, they're also the church of today. And they're a vital part of the church of today. And so it's really been a blessing to be a part of the ministry there. Our part is I get to preach on Sundays and also teach a Christian growth program every Wednesday, most every Wednesday evening. And so God has been very good at providing and the needs there at Hillcrest, the vision that some of the administration have had to have a position like youth pastor. And so the opportunity that the youth have to go to not only, I say one of the greatest things about going somewhere like that, we can do the same work here, serving Christ by serving others. But when you go somewhere like Hillcrest, you don't have to worry about anything, much of anything. I know you feel like you have a lot of worries, I'm sure, Peyton. And looking back, I know I probably thought I had more than I actually did. But the one thing that impressed me when I was at Hillcrest for that year was that I could focus on serving God by serving others. Like all the distractions, like I didn't have to worry about my job. I knew what I was doing. Somebody made my schedule. I didn't have to worry about going and spending money. There was not a whole lot to be spent. And I just didn't have any distractions. And so that was just really spoke to me. It was one of the best years of my life. It was a very pivotal time of my life, of my Christian. I was a weak Christian. I was going through a lot of things, but I knew I desired more than where I was, and Hillcrest was a large part of that. And so as you think of, I just want to paint the picture in your mind that it's more than just serving old people. It really is a vital work of God's kingdom, the work that gets done in the VS staff, and even in all the lives that it touches a lot of lives. And so I just would desire your prayers to pray for the work at Hillcrest. We feel that it's a privilege, but also a great responsibility that we have to partner with our churches. As you send your youth there, that we take great care in discipling them and supporting them and to encourage them, and that they can come back from that time and again plug into the work here and carry on the vision and the work of the church. And so I really want to have people think of it's not separate work. We're all in doing the work of the kingdom, and we're there in Harrison, you're here, but we can support each other. I think we can work together very well in encouraging our youth and serving our youth as they go through those formative years, because they really are the church of tomorrow. Like I say, they are the church of today, but for sure they're the church of tomorrow. And I can say that I'm excited. I'm excited. God is still faithful. God is still working. God is still powerful. The power that's within us is greater than the power that is without. And so it's been an exciting couple months as we've served there with Caden and the rest of them. And like I said, I'll give him time to speak now, and you can question him. And don't take it too easy on him, really.
All right. So I guess to start this out, I will talk a little bit how I came to Hillcrest. So this was somewhere in December-ish, I think. I was kind of not really doing anything for work. I was just working at the farm. And Mom said something to me like, hey, why don't you go to Hillcrest? And I honestly didn't think I was going to go, but I knew at some point I wanted to go, but I was going to wait until I was like 22, 23, or 24-ish. Did not think I'd be going when I was 19, but so I called Myron, I think was at the time, and he said they need CNAs. So I thought about it for a while, and then I think it was over a youth mission trip, I finally got the confirmation to go, or that I was able to go. So about April, or then right beginning of April, I finally went, and it's definitely been a growing experience. I had, for first 2 weeks I was there, I had to go through CNA classes, which is probably the most awkward thing I've ever been through. But you meet like lots of new people. There's at max, I think there's 30 plus VS staff, and in the guys' dorm there's room for 15 guys, or 16 including the dorm or the dorm leader, but and 16 girls, I think, or is it more? I don't know. It's a lot, but it's some of my experiences there have been amazing. I would highly encourage anybody who's thinking about it to go. Whenever somebody said something about doing missionary work, I always thought it was kind of going outside the country, helping out there. But yeah, there's a huge need here in the States. But so we've got a slideshow here prepared for to show you what all happens and kind of what the place is set up like. So if I can get to work. Yeah, this here Hillcrest home, and it's got 6 households. Could somebody dim the lights? There are 6 main households, 2 downstairs, which, let me go over. So these here are the 2 downstairs ones. These are the 2 upstairs and downstairs. This bottom one here is Pinnacle, I believe. The names of the households are Pinnacle, Brookside, Summit, Ridgemont, Terra Vista, and Crestview is where I work. And the 2 downstairs are Pinnacle and Brookside. They're more physical therapy focused, while the upstairs ones are long-term care facilities. Over here, the big household is where I work. This is Crestview. It's kind of hard to do on the phone. This whole area here is Crestview. These 2 halls here are the main ones I would work during the day. And then this here is called 700 Hall, which is technically part of Terra Vista here. So this is an all-women's hall, so we don't work over there, but we take care of, if we're full capacity, we take care of 22 residents. But right now, I think we're only taking care of 17. But if we have, there's these two main halls, there's two main shifts. There's a 6 to 2 shift in the morning, that's from 6 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then there's a 2 to 10, which is 2 in the afternoon to 10 o'clock at night. And no one wants to do the 2 to 10 shifts, but and there's one CNA per hall. This one. Yeah. There's one CNA per hall, and this is hall C1. This is C2, and that's short for Crestview. And there's a third CNA on shift. He takes care of restoratives, which we have to have the residents do, like get up and walk or play games or give them move around, we don't want them to sit around all day. Down here, we have the guys' dorm here, which is where all the volunteer staff guys stay. And over here is the girls' dorm, so you can see who the favorite is. But, no, it's the bottom floor of the girls' dorm is called first floor. That's where we have our suppers, our Sunday lunches. We do Wednesday evening church service there, which Paul is in charge of. If we have staff meetings, we do it on the first floor, and that's a general hangout spot. Here we have our volleyball courts, basketball courts, pickleball, basically whatever you want to set up for. That's for rec nights, or Friday nights, 7 o'clock. Go to the next slide here. Yeah, so the way we think about Hillcrest is the residents do not live where we work where they live. So we are in their home taking care of them. And we use when they built it, I guess it was I'm not sure when they remodeled it or what, but they built it more of a house style. These are two best friends we have here. So each household has its own dining room, kitchen, living room, laundry room, and sunroom. And we'll have the homemakers work in the kitchen, prepare food for the residents, give them prepare food, and give them drinks, and just make snacks for everyone involved. This is this is like outside the household, so it's still in the hallway, but it was built to look like the outside of a house, to give it a more homey feel. It's hard to know on the phone. But yeah, we try to do the best we can for residents, make them feel at home as best as possible. Like lots of residents like to play games with staff and each other. And if we're not too busy, we try our best to be around them, talk with them. We have a garden, and they can go and plant they raise vegetables this year. They had several meals where they had their own home-raised tomatoes and peppers and all kinds of stuff. And we have several of the staff will bring their kids into work, and they hang around with the residents and talk with them and just have a good time. And we've also got pet therapy, which lots of the people have pets. And there's also outside places, whatever, will bring bunnies, dogs, cats occasionally. We actually used to have a household cat, but I think it died. There's spending one-on-one time with the residents, helping them with food. If they need help eating, we have to help give them food. And sometimes just being there for them, talking to them, being a friend for them is the best thing you can do for them. Sometimes they don't appreciate sometimes the help you give them, so you kind of have to become a friend with them before they let you help you, or before they let you help them. But here's a picture of someone who brought bunnies in for the residents. I think it's bunnies. And there's sometimes some of the more mobile residents, they will sometimes get taken out to like shop for books, flowers. We one time took a bunch of residents to get ice cream. I think, like, yeah, here's when we, or one of the guys took one of the residents to go get some ice cream later on. One thing that helps a lot is give them stuff help them do stuff they did when they were at home, which we help snap peas for supper for everybody, which that's 150-ish people, including staff, they have to feed every day. That's breakfast, lunch, and supper. So it's a lot of food. There's days where I think it's one of the farmers around there has brought horses and stuff and the residents really enjoy it. And then we had a chapel where we do church, and we have a service every Sunday morning, sometimes evening, and we usually have a lot of residents that like to show up. You can't always, if you're working VS hours, you can't always make it to church. I know they give you one Sunday off a month to where you can go to church. And sometimes if it's not busy, you can go down to church if there's a little bit of a lull in the work schedule. Volunteers at Hillcrest provide a ministry to the elders, and it's, like Larry says, a life-changing experience for young people, and it changes you and stretches you in so many different ways. And plus, if you stay there for 15 months or more, you get a paid trip out of the country, so that's great. And it's a 2-week trip, I believe. There's a chance every day to make them smile and bring joy to their lives is part of our main goal. Yeah, this is the CNA section, which that is, when you go to work, you have to kind of have to prepare yourself mentally for the day, because sometimes the day can go in absolute terribly, but you still have to have a smile on your face. You can't get nippy at anybody, or you can't snap at any of the residents. You have to keep a cool head. But this is a quote from one of the former CNAs. Being a CNA has taught me the importance of making positive thinking a habit. The habits we form when we are young become second nature when we are older. Here is someone helping one of the residents at mealtime, because they can't always cut the food for themselves or eat it themselves, so we have to give them assistance in any way possible. And this is something I know very little about. They have a onboard kitchen staff, which is back in the main big kitchen, which is where most of the food is made and then taken out in carts to the separate households and then prepared there by the homemakers. This is a homemaker here, one of the homemakers. Homemakers make sure to serve breakfast to each resident in their household. They also serve lunch and supper that is made by the big kitchen. And this is one of the residents, I think, was helping wash dishes. And they let them do that. Any household chores they want to help with, they let them, I think, for the most part, as long as it's not dangerous. And then this is the maintenance section, which I thought about going as maintenance, but they said they needed CNAs more, so I went as a CNA instead. And I think it's the best position there, honestly, because you get to know the residents more and closer, and it's basically like having a bunch of grandparents that you get to take care of. So one of the things that they have every Tuesday night is mentor group, which not every mentor group meets on Tuesday night. Every 3 weeks, I think, is when your mentor group meets. And so basically, it's there's a group leader who will come up with a topic you'll follow for a couple weeks till it's either finished or you get a new group. This is the Christian Growth Program, which CGP for short, which is about disciplines, sacrifice, servanthood. Wednesday night practical teaching, which that's Wednesday night services, which mostly I think is around CGP, right, Paul? Yeah, and then there's relationships, mentor groups, which we talked about, and plus like a prayer partner. And then every so I think is it once a month they have a solitude, and that's where I think for 4 hours you have to be off by yourself, and then a full paid mission trip, which I'm not sure we're going this year, but yeah, learn to love people. That's sometimes you don't always get along with everybody there, but you have to do your best. Yeah, we learn to look past each other's background, upbringing, or culture, and love each other for who they are in Jesus Christ. And this is another quote. Hillcrest stretches me in ways I didn't imagine. I learned new perspectives from each other. To view everyone as one in the body of Christ, I was given countless opportunities to grow spiritually, to be stretched, to encourage, and to collaborate with others. So this next part is day off activities, which you get 1 day off a week, unless you work a 8 to 7, which is that's a Crestview staff thing. If you 8 to 7, if you work 2 8 to 7s in a week, you get 2 days off. But so mostly you have day off groups where every Saturday night at 8:30 you go with your day off group, you meet on first, and you plan what you're going to do the next week. And there's lots of things like canoeing. The Buffalo River is absolutely beautiful. There's lots of hiking. Some easy, some not. There's this place, I forget what it's called, but it's absolutely beautiful. I have a story about this spot. Denver, one of the guys said he knew how to get there, and it's a 10-minute hike. And so we take off, and there's a section where we're supposed to turn left, and he says, we gotta go right. So what was supposed to be a 10-minute hike turned into a 3-hour hike through briars and thick woods and all kinds of fun stuff. We all had cuts and bruises and weren't too very happy, but we got to the spot eventually, and it was kind of worth it. Absolutely gorgeous view. This here is off something called the 1,000-Foot Bluffs, and that's the Buffalo River there. There's another view of the 1,000-Foot Bluffs. So there was one time we had a group go out here, and I decided I was going to go off exploring a little bit by myself. And there's a spot where a tree kind of hung over the ledge a little bit, and I had to go around the tree to keep on going. So I grab a hold of the tree and go to swing around. About that time, my foot slips, and I'm dangling over a 1,000-foot drop. Quickly, I was able to pull myself up and keep on going, but I had 2 near-death experiences while at Hillcrest, so just don't be as crazy as I am, I guess, if you do go. There's a lot of times groups will go back roading, but there's a lot of dirt roads, which they call them dirt roads, but they're actually gravel, so it's not near as fun. But here is a absolutely gorgeous spot. You can hike up to the top of that and kind of look at it and see how it separates into 3 separate waterfalls there. One river kind of comes down and it breaks into 3 waterfalls. It's an absolutely gorgeous spot. Then there's outings on Bull Shoals Lake with the pontoon, and that is where that's parked at. There is a jump-off spot, and depending on which time of the year you go, it's either 40 foot or 20 foot deep or high. And there was one time where I went to try to do a flip off of it and didn't quite fully do the flip and ended up belly flopping. I thought I was going to die, but I did not. I have yet to see elk, but I know there's been multiple groups that have gone out and seen a lot of elk. Kind of makes me jealous, but it'll happen eventually. I hope so. So this is funds through volunteers are provided to support foreign missions throughout Mission Interest Committee, which when you sign on to Hillcrest, you're not getting paid a bunch. You're signing off your check for these missions that you can, which is what we end up going to at the end of our term. We go there for 2 weeks, and anything they need help with, we help them. 1 year they went to Ireland. The next year I think they went, to Nicaragua. There's Italy, which that's actually gorgeous. And then we got Camp Week, which that's I forget, September usually. It's a week-long thing where volunteers from outside will come in and completely deep clean the whole household, dorms, workshop, everything. And you make a lot of friends around that time, and there's 15 people I think come in. It's kind of a hectic time because the staff or the residents get a little restless of people going in their rooms and pulling all the furniture out and deep cleaning everything. So we kind of it's busy because we're constantly on our toes, answering call lights and helping keep residents calm, trying not to let any fights break out, which has almost happened. But yeah, we keep them as calm as possible. Yeah, I think I'll talk a little bit more about the schedule and how that all works out. So it goes week by week. At the end on Thursday, you get a trial of what the schedule might look like the next week, and then on Friday you get the final, and then that's when you know what you're working the next week. And as I said, the two main shifts are 62 and 2 to 10. And then for Crestview, since it's the biggest one, has a third shift, which is 8 to 7, which that focuses more on restoratives. And then Homemakers have 62s and 2 to 10s, right? Or is it 10 to 6? And then there's there's maintenance then too, which I think it's regulars 8 to 5, or 8 to 5 in the afternoon, I believe. And they have a set week, I believe, and it's just they get the weekends off. And then there's the CNA, maker, and maintenance, and then there's administration, which Paul is our pastor, and then there's Myron, which you guys don't know who he is, but he is our schedule maker, and he's the one that mostly gets the complaints about schedule stuff. So we put a lot of pressure on him, even when we don't try to. But and we have HR, an HR manager. I think she deals more with staff or paid staff. I'm not sure. And we got front desk with 2 people that work in the front office. And there's IT, which we have 1 guy for IT. He does all the computer work and setting call lights up for us. That's another thing. We have to. Call lights are probably the most annoying sound you'll ever hear because you carry around a work phone with you, and every time a resident hits a call light, it sends a notification, and there are times where during the day you can have 5 or 6 notifications going off at the same time, and it's on a timer, and every 30 seconds it sends another notification, and if you don't clear it within 6 minutes, it sends an email out to everybody saying that this is going to be going for 6 minutes, and then after 10 minutes it does it again, and after 20 minutes it actually calls somebody. So they know if you're doing your job right or not. It kind of puts a lot of pressure on you, but there are days where it's absolutely crazy, and then there are days where are just the calmest day ever, and then somebody has to open their mouth and say, hey, wish it was busier, and then it ends up busier. But, yeah, if there's any questions, feel free to ask. Paul, you want to help me answer questions if you can?
We need help.
Yes.
Bring a list, but we do need
We are, yeah.
the ladies.
Well, I think we have 8 coming in January, hopefully. We are very low on VS staff, so we desperately need people to volunteer. If you know of anybody that would be interested, you can go to the Hillcrest page, go to hillcrest.com, and then there is a page where you can volunteer. There's a little tab at the top that says volunteer, and you can put your information in. Or you can let me know, and then I can put your name in, and then I get $100 out of the deal. So, yeah, if there's any questions, feel free to ask. I'm not sure of the exact number, but we are certified for 100, to take care of 100. I know there's at least 3 households that are not at full capacity.
It was 97 Monday.
97? And then we actually just got a new admin or admit yesterday or the day before, so 98.
That's good clarification. I thought I heard you earlier say something like 20.
No, that's in my household. In my household, there's,
I was really wondering how the math works out.
yeah, our household can take care of up to 22.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that. No, that's each household has a kitchen where all the residents come and eat there. Roughly, give or take.
So 90 residents, how many staff?
Do you know the exact number of staff?
With part-time employees, on every given week, there'd be 162 staff. Paid for office maintenance. We paid for staff.
I have not. I haven't. But that's only because I'm halfway through my term, so I don't want to get kicked out yet. No. So far as I know, no one sneaks out. There's 2 days out of the week where you can go be out till 10:30-ish, I think. That's Monday and Tuesday. They're called free nights. And I think as long as you're not working, you can leave the grounds and go to town if you have to. It's not a big deal if you leave. You just gotta let one of the staff know that you leave, and you have to be back by 6, I believe.
So describe a typical day for you.
Depends on what shift you work. If it's a morning shift, you get up around 5:30, and then they want you to be up at the household or up at the home 15 minutes before work. That way they can give you, whenever you get in, the person that's on work will give you what they call rounds, which is they give you an update on how each resident is doing, and they will tell you if somebody had a fall, or if they got hurt, or if they changed medication or something. And anything important that you need to know. And then after rounds, you go around getting residents up whenever they're ready to get up, and you have to take care of the showers out on your hall. You have to give the showers. And then about that time, they have 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 1 o'clock are the rounds where you have to go around and toilet all the residents that need to be toileted, because they are what they call incontinent. They don't know when they have to go to the bathroom, so you have to take them and help them. And then you're just basically there answering call lights as the day goes, and that would be a normal morning shift. And then evening shift goes on at 2, and when they get on, they have to go around, collect all the water cups from the residents and clean them. And then at 3 o'clock is toileting rounds again. Supper is at 4:30. Lunch is at 11:30 and supper is at 4:30. You have to go around and see what residents want to eat, which I think homemakers do that mostly, right? And then, you have to help all the residents out, and preferably about 10 to 15 minutes before lunch starts serving, but we can't always get them out in time because some of them don't want to, or they're just kind of slow. And then after everything, 8 o'clock-ish is when some of the residents like to go to bed pretty early. We have one guy that goes to bed anywhere between 5:30 to 6 or 7, and then there's other residents that won't go to bed till 3 o'clock in the morning. And you can't force them into bed, so you kind of have to let them do their own thing. And then at 10 o'clock is when night shift comes on, and they are the ones that at 11:30 they go around, check all the hall closets, make sure they are stocked with briefs, lotions, toothbrushes, toothpaste, whatever they need. And then they do take care of the residents when they're sleeping, or if they're up and about, because sometimes that happens. And then there's an 8 to 7 shift, which gets there at 8 o'clock, and that's when they relieve night duty. Night duty goes from 10 to 8, so it's a longer shift. And night duty, everybody goes on night duty for 2 weeks, and there's no day offs. It's just every day for 2 weeks, and then after that you get 2 days off back to back, so that makes up for it. But 8 to 7 gets on at 8, relieves night duty, and then they are, if not everybody's awake by then, they have to help get whoever else needs awake, woken up. And they are in charge of restoratives, which is not all residents, but most of the residents have something where they have to, like if they're in a wheelchair, we have to try to help them walk with a walker if they can, or play games. Like we have a pool table in there. We don't really have any residents that play pool anymore, but we have one of our residents likes to play. We have a basketball hoop with like one of those folded-up basketball things. I'm not sure what they're called. We have a resident that likes to play with that, and then we have a old Wii set up where there's a Wii games where residents can play Wii if they want to, which we only have one that plays Wii. And occasionally staff will too. But that is the CNA shifts, I believe. There's my house. There's 3 main CNA shifts. Though most people would say the least favorite would be cleaning up after residents, but honestly, that you get used to it. It's not that bad. The least favorite is having to deal with a resident that is yelling and combative and doesn't want to do anything besides stay in bed all day. And my most favorite thing is talking with residents. I mean, they got lots of stories they can tell, and some of them are just absolutely hilarious, and yeah, it will have you laughing for a while. We had one patient where they had a prescription where if you got too combative, they were supposed to do a shot in the leg, but didn't have to do that too often. Yes, there's nurses on staff at all times. I think they come in once a week, I believe. Yeah. Like the doctor will come in and look at all the staff, make sure they're doing okay. And I don't think all the residents have the same doctor, so sometimes different doctors that come in throughout the week. It's not in-house. I think it's in Harrison, and they bring meds in every night at around 11:30, 12 o'clock, and the night nurse has to sign for them and restock them. Okay, the first one was almost falling off 1,000-foot bluff. The second one was there's a place called the Nars, which is short for the Narrows, and it's a camp spot we go to camp at. And to get there, there is a pathway. It's at the narrowest spot, I think, is just big enough for both your feet to stand on, with a 100-foot drop on either side. And at the widest spot, there's maybe 5 feet, and it's like you walk on the main path, and there's a ledge underneath it. And then I was walking on the main path, and a rock came out from underneath my foot, and I fell down onto the lower ledge. I was able to grab onto the rock wall behind me, and I smacked my elbow up pretty good, but that was the second one. Mom wasn't happy when she heard about that.
No broken bones so far.
So far. Not by me, anyways. You know I have. Yeah. Okay, so I guess one of the girls got too scared and told on me. So the dorm leader had to come talk to me and told me to be a little more careful. But yeah. Okay, that hasn't happened. There's nothing like that has happened yet, but there has been in the past where if someone gets too crazy, I guess they can get sent home for a little bit. I'm not sure how that all works. Yeah, I think it has been happening in the past. Nothing happened this year or within my term. The guys I got around there they're absolutely amazing. But I know if there's like two guys that are getting mad at each other, it gets up to a point where they will get put. We have something called the prayer cabins, and we'll have one stay in the prayer cabin while the other one gets to stay in the dorm. Not sure how that gets decided, but that's just what I heard. No, nothing about the prayer cabins. There's two small cabins that are there by the admin's house. They're just like sheds that have AC, a couch, and they're very nice inside, but you can go there on solitude, or if you have something called we have a prayer shift, you can go there. It's like an 8-hour prayer shift. You can go in there and spend the day there and just be close to God. It's absolutely lovely back there. If I would, I wouldn't tell you. Not answering that. No, there is another place in Virginia. I think it's called Mountain Home. Mountain View. I don't think so. I actually have a friend that I went to Bible school with that's over there serving right now. But tried to convince him to come to Hillcrest, but it was closer to go to Mountain View, so he went to Mountain View. But yeah, I think they're a bit smaller than us, right? I've been over there ever, so I don't know. Not really sure. Is it the same as Mississippi? Okay, so you have to have a family member that lives in Boone County in order to be admitted into Hillcrest. Annually, I'm not cheap. It's about $10,000 a month, I believe. But I think if you have insurance, it will cover it. It also depends on what room you get, because there are single resident rooms, which are more expensive because you're the only resident in there, and then there are the two resident rooms, which is where you'd have a roommate, and those are slightly cheaper. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. It's not quite all volunteer staff. We have more paid staff right now than volunteer staff. But.
So what they do with that, the VS staff that make the money that they actually, the Hillcrest Home actually pays that much into an account for that VS staff member, and that's the money that gets sent to their missions.
And you get to keep about 200 of it, and then they take, like, if you go take the pontoon out, or if you take one of the staff cars, or like the on-site cars, certain mileage they charge you for that, but it's not a lot. It's like, yeah. So did I say? Okay, yeah, it's 200. It's 200 a month, so it's not a lot, but you have room and board. You get meals provided, and there's basically no taxes whatsoever. So. The food is amazing. Not as up in the home. They have this. There's something called the Hillcrest 15, which is where everybody that goes there gains 15 pounds, because the food there is kind of high cholesterol, or I'm not sure what it is. That's a homemaker question more than that. Amber, do you know? Something about the food they make it up in the home has more like. Yeah, so basically it's got more protein in it, so if younger people gain a lot more weight than they should. But if there are no more questions, I will turn it back over to Paul.
Thank you for that, Caden. Yeah, they talk about the Hillcrest 15. I've said I hope mine don't have a 1 in front of it by the time I leave. So the food does seem to stick to you. Let's just bow our heads for prayer. Kind Father, we just come before you again this evening. We're just again grateful for this time to worship, to examine ourselves. Father, we just pray that your Spirit would again just fall upon us. Father, we just pray that our hearts would be soft toward you. Again, we pray that while they hear my voice, through their physical ears, Father, that they would hear a voice far greater than mine, Father, that your Spirit would speak, that we would be open to your call on our lives. Father, may we be willing to surrender fully to you. Father, we ask it in your name. Amen. Okay, I will just briefly here. I know we're past our time already, so we will just look at a couple things here tonight. Thank you, Felix, for those thoughts. Ye are the light of the world. I had to think of a story of this elderly lady. She was at home and she noticed someone pulled in the drive and he was walking up towards the house. It was a salesman. But as he was walking up, she noticed that he was just radiating. It was like he was bouncing. And as he came in, she just hollered out. She said, "I don't know what you're selling, but I'll take some of it. I want some." That speaks to me. Ye are the light. A light radiates. The thought that darkness cannot overcome light. Darkness cannot overpower light. The only way that darkness can come is if the light leaves. Ye are the light. As we spoke last evening, the 3 keys to revival. We talked about humility and hunger and holiness. Tonight, just quickly, I want to speak on, again, the theme, like Felix said, of how we represent the light, the Father. In my time on this earth, 48 years now. I'm not as old as some of you, older than some others, but we start to see things in the church, the Christian life, the Christians that are to represent this light, as we do in ourselves. Now in the Gospel of John, the 8th chapter, the 32nd verse, you don't have to turn to it. I'll start in verse 31. Then said Jesus to those Jews which believed on him, If ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Jumping to verse 36. If the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. That should excite you tonight. That should excite you as you think of that. The freedom that we have, that we can be free, that who we were is no longer who we are. I know it took me a while to work through there, as I came from a life that I thought I was living for myself, but I was serving Satan. And as I repented and got out of that life, the tempter continually wanting to come back and reminded me of who I was, to think of those things. But to get to the place where I accepted the promise fully that I'm free, it's gone. God could have remembered it, but the scriptures say that he chose to remember it no more. What a loving Father. Tonight I just want to quickly look at, as we mature in our Christian life, and we just, again, what a beautiful journey we can have as a child of God. But then we see and we walk beside those that struggle. They say they've been forgiven. They say they've had an experience with our Heavenly Father. They accepted Jesus Christ as their personal Lord and Savior, and yet they're not feeling free. They're not walking in freedom. Some heartbreaking situations that we have. I want to talk tonight, I believe one of the things that probably hinders more Christians than anything, of reflecting that light. I say every sin, the root of every sin, goes back to the sin of pride. The sin of pride. And I believe that one of the ugliest sins of pride are unforgiveness. I invite you to turn with me to Matthew's Gospel, the Gospel of Matthew, the 18th chapter, as we look at the power that we can have in forgiveness. Or the bondage we can have in unforgiveness. The 21st chapter, very familiar chapter here. Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Till 7 times? Jesus saith unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. Therefore is the kingdom of heaven likened unto a certain king, which would take account of his servants. And when he began to reckon, one was brought unto him, which owed him 10,000 talents. But forasmuch as he had not to pay, his Lord commanded him to be sold, and his wife and children, and all that he had, and payment to be made. The servant therefore fell down and worshipped him, saying, Lord, have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. Then that Lord of that servant was moved with compassion, and loosed him and forgave him the debt. But the same servant went out and found one of his fellow servants, which owed him 100 pence, and he laid hands on him and took him by the throat, saying, Pay me that thou owest. And his fellow servant fell down at his feet and besought him, saying, Have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. And he would not, but went and cast him into prison till he should pay the debt. So when his fellow servants saw what was done, they were very sorry, and came and told unto their Lord all that was done. Then this Lord, after that he had called him, said unto him, O thou wicked servant, I forgave thee all that debt, because thou desiredest me. Shouldest thou not also have compassion on thy fellow servant, even as I had pity on thee? And the Lord was wroth, and delivered him to the tormentors, till he should pay all that was due unto him. So likewise shall my heavenly Father do also unto you, if ye from your hearts forgive not every one his brother their trespasses. What a story. Can you imagine, for those of you men that are fathers, to owe a debt so great that the king is threatening to take away your wife, your children? You have nothing but to beg for mercy. You have no way of paying that debt. That was us. That was us. That was each of us. I can't imagine. As I picture that in my mind, to hear those words when I think my wife's going to be taken, my children, and I'm begging, saying, give me time, please give me time. Is there anything I can do? And then to hear those words, that it's all forgiven. I think one of the greatest sins, one of the greatest deceptions that befall us Christians that have had an encounter with God is unforgiveness. This is us. This is us if we choose, if we make the choice not to forgive. Accepting the forgiveness of our Heavenly Father, but not extending it. I've seen some of the most heartbreaking stories. The heartbreaking in as I think back of just recently, the bondage. I often refer to it as some of the most captive people are not those that are in prison, but those that live in prison without bars. And some of the most free people are serving life sentences in penitentiaries. Brothers and sisters, I don't know how to plead with you anymore. Than what the scriptures do here. As I sit and have young people that are so broken, they just sit there and sob for an hour, for 2 hours. The bondage of unforgiveness. They have fathers that are angry. Fathers and mothers that have become so bitter because of unforgiveness in their life. As we look at this story, in verse 34, we had just read the verses that when the Son makes you free, you shall be free indeed. But now we read in verse 34, and the Lord was wroth and delivered him to the tormentors till he should pay all that was due unto him. Oh, the terrors of those tormentors. As I think of unforgiveness, and in my 48 years, the destruction, as I think of those tormentors, I don't believe it's painting a picture, friends, not just of what's to come. I believe those tormentors for those that have unforgiveness in their lives is hatred, is bitterness, broken relationships. Oh, how Satan rejoices when there's unforgiveness. There's a lot of scriptures we could turn to. There are some that would say if a husband is not reconciled with his wife before he prays, that he should first be reconciled, a brother with brother. I think it's one of the greatest victories that Satan has in our lives is unforgiveness. The power that we can have to forgive. If we really had an experience with God. I think of Corrie ten Boom. Some of you probably know the story better than me of her being in prison, held captive by the Nazis, But yet, there was a time when she was held captive. I would have said that she was free and that she was born again. And yet, as she was held captive and she had family members that were beaten and starved and they died, Corrie became bitter. And she started keeping track of those that hurt her. And she was hoping that someday, even after she was freed, she was hoping someday that there would be a judge that would bring justice on those that hurt her and the members of her family. Until one day that she was praying and God convicted her of that and said, I've forgiven you. Why can't you forgive them? Corrie went and took those papers. She put them in the fireplace. And the flames consumed it. And once again, she felt the power, the warmth, the peace of God's Spirit in her life. Oh, the terrors of the tormentors when we allow Satan to have that victory in our life. I don't pretend to know your story or what you've went through. I know there's times that I just sit and I weep with those that are weeping. How can a dad do that to their children? How can a husband treat a wife like that? We look at the power of forgiveness, then we look at the bondage of unforgiveness. And I plead with people. I think of one young lady right now. She has unforgiveness in her life. I plead with her. Pray for her. She would testify that she knows that she's letting Satan. We need to ask ourselves the question tonight. Have we really experienced forgiveness? I pled with that young lady. God is waiting to help her, but she's choosing to allow Satan in her life. We need to ask ourselves the question, have we truly experienced forgiveness? Now, I think some of the fruits of the Spirit will testify. I think of Romans 14, the 11th verse, and that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. Two weeks ago, we had been invited to go to Oswego, Kansas, to speak with the youth there. There's a couple of their youth that are at Hillcrest. Before we got to Hillcrest, we had a neighbor, been fighting cancer for a few years. I have helped him through personal care and just watching over him and ministering to him. And my heart's desire, he was in his 80s, and my heart's desire was that he would come to know God before he passed away. Mike was a very hard man, had a hard heart toward the things of God. I don't know. I don't have that hope. I don't have that assurance. I prayed with him right near the end of his life. We were at home for a week, a month ago or so. And I prayed with him. But his heart had become hard. The tormentors, the bondage of unforgiveness. There were people in his life that he hadn't forgiven. I think one of the signs of the tormentors, one of the victories in our lives when we have unforgiveness is you just can't have good relationships. The relationships usually don't turn out too good for those people that have unforgiveness. And he had 2 daughters. What they wanted more than anything was to have a good relationship with their dad. And we see that many times. The bondage of unforgiveness, a prison without bars. And yet I don't think that there's a worse prison to be in than the prison of unforgiveness. I challenge you to ask yourself the question, have you experienced forgiveness? And again, I'm not trying to get you to question whether God has forgiven you, but get you to reflect. Again, where there is light, there is no darkness. If we have been forgiven, there's light. Satan can no longer bring shame to us. I thank God, and it's only through the power of God, that when Satan comes to me and he tries to remind me of my past, that there's no hold, there's no secrets. It's been brought to light. And I can shout victory. Like, Satan, you can't bring that to me anymore. It's gone. It's forgiven. You have no hold over me. Praise be to Jesus. But we need to ask ourselves that question. If we have experienced that forgiveness, is there someone tonight that we need to forgive? Is there unforgiveness in your life that is keeping you from having that relationship with Jesus? I had pleaded with this young lady that has admitted to having unforgiveness in her life. And she says she just can't find it to pray. She just can't find it within herself to forgive these people. What a terrible place to be. Scriptures say that we can be free, indeed. I just want to challenge you tonight. Is there someone that you need to forgive? Is there unforgiveness in your life? I think of the fact, and I have tried to explain to this young lady that when she lives with unforgiveness, how she's living outside of the protection of God. I don't know about you, but that's not where I want to live. God has promised that we can live in freedom. God has promised that we can be free. God has promised to give us the power, that love, to forgive those that hurt us, to forgive those that persecute us. God is a God of unity. There should be unity in our families. There can be unity in our families. There can be unity in our churches. So often what we find when there isn't is that there is unforgiveness. I think too often we think that we can do enough good, that we can be holy enough to overcome it. But the story brings it out clear that we will be turned over to the tormentors in this life and in the life to come. We need to ask ourselves a question. Have we experienced forgiveness? Is there someone that we need to forgive?